Before we begin to speak, I would like to say a few words. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the history of a certain kind of personhood. There can be different kinds of people in the world, and then a certain kind of person that used to exist in the world can cease to be. So I want you all to suspend your disbelief and cast aside what you know, and imagine that once upon a time there was a certain kind of person in the world who was a Jewish artist, who was supported by the community, whose role was to express the idea of the collective through sound. And this was a virtuoso, kind of athletic vocalist, vocal artist. And not only were they performers in communal settings like synagogues, they were also media stars, right? So we know that such a kind of a person did exist, right? They were called the Khazones, or women performers of the same kind of ritual music were Khazones. And it was not that long ago that the world understood that this was an important part of Jewish life. So we're going to talk a little bit now about, feast your eyes upon this slideshow, about Khazones, which is the music that was made by Khazones. People talk about the cantorial golden age, and if there was a golden age, then there must be a falling off, right? There must be, now we're in an age of darkness. So I don't know about this age of darkness business, but there was a time when cantors were supported materially by the community in a different kind of way, and there were star performers whose recordings were consumed as mass media, right? People selling hundreds of thousands of copies of records a year. The music was not only ritual, it was not only an aesthetic experience either, though. It played in this kind of gray area between art and magic. And a lot can happen in that gray area. Voices can emerge that tell you stories about yourself, that tell you stories about your ancestors, that conjure up a sense of what you are inside yourself that you may have forgotten or only dimly imagined to be possible. Does that sound like a cantor to you? I don't know. I mean, I think basically the idea of what a cantor is or can be radically shifted, right? That from this model of the cantor as star artist performer to the current day conception of the cantor as a kind of a communal functionary, there's a shift in meaning. And when I said suspend disbelief or forget what you imagined that you know, is to try to let go of some of the anachronistic thinking that the categories that we think of as being firm and solid in the current moment might have not existed in the fairly recent past. You guys want to hear a piece of music? Let me play you something. This is a record by a gentleman named Yishtabach, who is one of the great figures of early 20th century cantorial music. This is one of his records, Khazones.
Mir
to check out Liebglanz's music. Liebglanz was not only a great artist, he was also a kind of a political firebrand, and like many of his cantorial colleagues of the early 20th century, there was a certain kind of politic that was associated with the music that had to do with the preservation of collectivity and with the preservation of the Jewish working masses, right? That Glantz was very specific in seeing Khazones as being the music of the proletariat, and he, in his writings, he says as much and associates the denigration of Khazones with assimilationists and with the bourgeoisie, right? And so he has specifically setting up Khazones as being music that can sustain collectivity and sustain projects of mutual aid for working people. And for him, as for many of his peers, the twin political commitments were to socialism and to Zionism. And in our current moment, that those the linkage of those two maybe isn't so obvious, right? But in the moment that they were living in the pre-Holocaust era, the idea of the preservation of the Jewish masses and of the consolidation of strength and an ethos of mutual aid through economic anti-establishment thinking and through a politics of nationalism went hand in hand with each other. As I mentioned before, women cantors were a part of this golden age period, right? Some of the stars of cantorial music of the 1920s were women, right? One of the first major stars of recorded cantorial music in the United States was Sophie Kurtser. She was billed as Madame Sophie Kurtser, the Odessa Chazanta, and what is our association with the cantor, right? Is that it's up until the 1970s that this was a purely male profession. That is false, right? We understand now through archival scholarship that women were active as participants in cantorial music as a media phenomenon, right? So even if they couldn't necessarily get gigs in synagogues, they could be working the Borscht Belt circuit or the Yiddish theater circuit, and even leading services in the context of Jewish hotels, which oftentimes offered services as part of their purview for their clients. So let's listen to a little bit of Sophie Kurtzer's music. Have any of you ever heard that before? Any of Kurtser or women cantors from the 20s and 30s before? Yeah, but you have. Okay, great, thank you. Any observations about the music? It's okay. I mean, but yeah, it's very moving. Yeah, but it has that powerful Khazones quality, or it speaks to the kind of Yiddish soul in this kind of incredibly powerful way. Any other thoughts? Yeah.
She's utilizing the frets.
Yeah, right. Has these distinctive Jewish vocal markers, right? Those kind of culturally intimate sounds, right? The noisiness of Jewish life. Yeah. Any other thoughts? Yeah. Well, I'm glad that we got to listen to that together, and I hope you get a chance to check out her music. The Khazones are kind of a touchstone, I think, definitely for me, I think for Judith also, in terms of our exploration of the role that outsiders played in the production of cantorial music and in production of the sound of Jewish life. Right, the cantors, they didn't necessarily look like what we associate with frum, pious Jews. They didn't necessarily live the way we expect, kind of shtetl Jews to have lived. They were urban people, they were intellectuals, they were artists, and they were nonconformists. And in order to be able to have the strength to be able to create the sound of the community, oftentimes it takes someone who's a little bit on the fringe, right, who has a little bit of this outsider perspective, someone who might not be welcome in the pulpits of power. So we're trying to kind of harness this energy, this moment in Jewish musical creativity, first of all to excavate it for our own pleasure and our joy. This is music that feeds our souls, and also because we believe that there's a seed in it for a new birth, for new kinds of musical life that can exist in the present day, and for new kinds of communities that can exist that can be brought together by the weirdness and the out of jointness with our conception of history that this music makes possible. So, okay, maybe that's enough talking, and let's do some music. All right, we're going to start with, this is a piece from one of the great Khazones, one of the great women performers of cantorial music. This is a piece called Yishtabach, which was, we have it from a radio bootleg. So Perele Feig, who's one of the greats of this style, she made a record, but what she really mostly did was, she was a radio performer. So that was like her davening for the amol was getting on WEVD, the Yiddish radio station, once a week and singing for people. And so this is some kind soul did what they called an air shot. It was basically they took a tape recorder and held it up to the speaker of their radio and made a bootleg of their old they didn't have the cassette deck with the record button on it in those days, but did a version of the pirating the radio. And so we have some of her radio recordings from this, which is amazing. So this is her statement on Yishtabach, so from the Shabbos Morning Press. Yeah.
Yishtabach Keshimcho, Yishtabach Keshimcho, Lockwood, Lockwood, man, Koleynu. Yishtabach Keshimcho, Lockwood, man, Koleynu. המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים, 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 בשמיים ובארץ. כי לכנו אדוני שם אלוהינו ואלוהי אבוי ישראל Yishtabach Hallel Zimra Ozum Sholo Ninzach Gedulam Gevuro Die Labesi Verheres Gedusha Malchus Rachos Beadochos Berachos Berachos Beadochos Miatam Yadaylam Oy Boruch Oto Oysher Godol Botishbos El Roi Dochos Adonam Niflos Aboichem Meshir Gazimaro Melech
Yes, the stage is nice and tight. A little dance to get around. So this next piece is kind of, we're going to pair it up with the Perele Feig. This is a piece that's about a different kind of Jewish woman, spirit worker. This is from a text, a Yiddish ethnographic text. So in 1912 to 1914, the great Yiddish playwright Shema led an expedition, an ethnographic expedition, through the small towns of the Pale Settlement of the Russian Empire, where the Jewish poor folk, the common folk lived, trying to collect information about their folk practices, folk songs, fairy tales, tales of wonder about great rabbis, and also healing practices. And many of the healers were women. And this is a story about a particular woman whose name was Genendl, who lived in the town of Latichev, which is in the present-day Ukraine. And she was a kind of a Shem Tov, right? Someone who knew magic names of God and was able to do kind of a ritual body work on people in order to purge them of the evil eye, to cure illnesses, to raise their spirits and lift their souls. So these urban Jews who had come to do research about the subaltern Jews of the hinterlands came to her, and one of the young men who was part of the ethnographic expedition, whose name was Rechtman, he was assigned to play the sick man. So the only way she would come and do her magic was if there was someone who needed her healing. And he pretended to be sick, and he lay in bed, and she came, and she did all kinds of things to him. Wondrous, terrifying, amazing things, right, that he never forgot. He wrote a book about this experience of being on this ethnographic expedition as an old man, right? It came out in 1958. He was living in the Bronx, and he was an old guy, but this memory stayed with him all of his life. So this is Genendl. This is his text about her, and set some music. So I'm going to play for you now. In literature is given an obscure Genendl wird sie geheißen, was wird geschaut über
droysn Anna ich auf Knippikel Und es an niedergelegt unterm Tischen wie sie hat sich bei mir genommen, also ich will Koyach auszuhalten, die ganze Prozedur. Was hat sich gezeigt, wie
with a piece called Yehi, which is the prayer for the new month, and it's a setting I composed it, and it's I composed other kinds of music, and I was at the same time was also a cantor at the same time, and I was like, well, why don't I compose my own tefillos, like why don't I do my own versions of this? And I finally got the courage to do it some years ago, but it took a lot of courage. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do it, and I'll show it to my dad, and he'll get a kick out of it. If he gets a kick out of it, that's all that matters. So, because my dad's a cantor as well. So yeah, so this is the so. Let's see. This is a piece by Moishe Oysher. Who's heard of Moishe? Okay. Moishe Oysher is one of my favorites. He's take a lot of inspiration from him because he was like an amazing Bessarabian Khazon with this really cool like way of davening, and which you'll hear because this is like mixture of davening, like a cantorial kind of recitative, and then he goes into a tune. And he was like part of the Yiddish theater too, so he was in film and he was on stage, so he was like a chazan and also an actor. Very famous guy, and his sister Perele was a chazan too, as well, she performed. But I really like him because he would do these like, he made a lot, he brought in like this Bessarabian kind of like funky stuff, I don't know. Check his music out, it's really cool. Okay. Are we good? Technical 20th century problems here. Okay. Oh
maybe we should end the show now. Alright, so I'm going to play, this is a piece, seasonal, so coming right up with the high holidays. This is a section of the famous pute for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur called Itzan Tokef. And its second section is the very famous Who Will Live and Who Will Die poem that has been kind of ingrained into popular culture. And then it goes on from there. I mean, it's very lengthy and very beautiful and keeps getting richer. And this paragraph of the prayer is Keshimcho, and it gets into almost this kind of like romance between the creator of the universe and the body at prayer. You know, it's like I know what you are capable of and what you have done because I have also been one who creates and does in the world. I understand, I know the truth of your deeds because my deeds precede or echo yours. This is kind of like the dialogue of the heavenly body and the earthly one. And it's like, again, it's kind of the romance of like the soul and its other in the infinite realm. You know, it's like I'm waiting for you until the very day you die. I'm waiting for you. So, all right, we'll pick this one up. This is Keshimcho, and it's a very special setting of it. I have some friends. My friend Kohn, who's a great cantor, and he grew up in the Satmar Hasidic community. His dad is a very well-known Baal Tefillah prayer leader in the Satmar community in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and they have a funny relationship because the son he's OTZ. He stopped being Hasidic, and but they're very beautifully still connected through the music, which is a very powerful testament to the healing powers and the connective powers of Khazones. And their family knows this piece that was from the family of Yeshua Vida, who's a famous cantor. Yeshua Vida's father was a cantor in Hungary, and this is one of his songs. And the grandfather of the Kohn family was in the choir back in Hungary. We're talking about like 100 years ago, certainly before the Holocaust. And so they have this melody from a cantorial family in Europe that exists nowhere else other than, as their family tradition now. So, and I started singing. So this is Keshimcho, attributed to the Oysher Vida, who's a cantor in Hungary before the war.
Yeah.
song. It's a Yiddish song from the repertoire of the great balladeer Lifshe Schaechter-Widman. She's also a Bronx, New York City person, but born in Lithuania, I believe. And she's one of the great sources of knowledge about Jewish women's Yiddish song repertoire, and many people sing her songs, and she's always kind of a legendary figure in the Yiddish folk song world. And I'm going to play you one of her beautiful numbers. This is Vos amol vetos fayer greser. Once upon a time, the fire burned brighter. And I'll translate it into English as we go along for the benefit of us who don't speak Yiddish so well.
So I'm going to do a piece now also from Yom Kippur, which are coming up, the high holidays, and this is from Yom Kippur. It's a beautiful phrase, Haben, Yakir, and this version is from Sophie Kurtser, what Jeremiah played earlier for you, and I just want to say, like, I've gotten a lot of inspiration from the Khazones because my dad is a cantor, but I felt somewhat ashamed about. I never told Jeremiah this, but I had some shame about the kind of the sound world. Like my dad is like really emotional, and it's so exposing, and seeing that all the time. And I thought, I can't ever sing like that. It was just too raw or something. And I don't know, just. Yeah, maybe too Jewish. I don't really know. Just something really intense about it. And so when I grew up kind of hearing the Khazones, but when I was kind of my late teens, early 20s, I heard more of it, and it gave me a lot of courage to find it in myself too. And once I did, that voice was inside. It was in my head, and it was in my heart. And once it came out, like it felt so totally natural, and it felt like there's a conduit. I don't feel like it's me. I don't feel like it's me doing it. It's like some lineage going on, some other people's voices going through me. I truly feel it. Anyway, I'm going to do this piece, and I'm going to follow it by my rendition of Retse, other prayer. Okay, here we go.
Haben Shema mitzvah Yisrael, v'tek l'cheinu v'dor, Oysher, Sobeinu, V'suvecha, V'samcheinu v'shuv, Osecho, V'dover, Libeinu, V'yadecha, V'yemet, Koleynu Adonai Eloheinu, V'brach Adonai Rabbeinu Yisrael, V'shalayim, V'kodshecha, Baruch Rotson, Adonai Shem, V'kadosh Hashos. Shema mitzvah Yisrael, v'tek l'cheinu v'dor, Oysher, Sobeinu, V'suvecha, V'samcheinu v'shuv, Osecho, Zoher, Libeinu, V'yadecha, V'yemet, Koleynu Adonai Shem Elokeinu, V'brach Rotson v'kodshecha, V'lechubo, Yisrael, V'cholishe, Shemecha Baruch Rotson, Adonai Shem,
another song from Lifshe Schaechter-Widman. I made a record earlier this year of Yiddish ballads. The title of that record is Once Upon a Time, the Firebird Writer. And so I want to play another song from that. This is another old-timey Yiddish ballad from the Bronx. This one's called droysn geht Regen. Means when it's raining outside. It's a tale of young love being thwarted by, a cruelly misunderstanding mother, and the daughter and the mother hurling accusations at each other, and the daughter accuses her mother of being a demon, and calls her a klipa. There's a kind of interesting turn of phrase, right? It's kind of like the shells that are enclosing God's spirit and keeping them from being able to enter the world. What a thing to call your mother! My goodness. And then the mom says, whether life goes good or bad for you, you are no longer my child. And I don't know if they left it like that or if it was a momentary interaction, but this is the story of their dialogue.
Genendl schlecht von dir, von mein Kind, wenn ich dich mehr nicht kennen. So, es geht von dir, so, es geht schlecht von dir, von kein Kind, will ich dich mehr nicht kennen.
Some heavy holidays liturgy, and we're also going to talk a little bit about, the role of electronic media as a kind of like, it's almost like someone cut off your arm and you get a robot.
Oh, that might be
a robot arm. Did you just, oh yeah, you just.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
But it's back. It's back. Judith's got a lot of power. We lost something, and now we're going to get like a prosthetic arm, and we're going to be able to do all kinds of amazing things that we never thought were possible. And so for we Jewish people, old records play a kind of a role, like a superpower, right? It allows us to have our voice, right? Things that have been either willfully neglected or destroyed through state violence, So I have a special relationship with records. My grandfather was a great cantor, and I grew up singing with him and having family music. But he was mostly retired by the time I was a kid, and then he passed away. And then about 10 years ago, I found on the internet someone had posted a bootleg field recording of him leading Shabbos morning service in the Bronx in the 60s, and this was quite a revelation, this kind of incredible animal power, this artistry that he possessed, and that people loved. He's in there, you can hear the people singing along with him, and davening, and the noise and the grit of what Jewish prayer was like once upon a time. And so, for folks who are interested in reclaiming some of this power, these recordings, these bootlegs that were made by people who were willing to, break all the rules, right? They snuck a tape recorder into the synagogue. But thank you, crazy man who did that back in 1969, because you've left a blessing for all eternity. So this is from a different field recording that somebody made of him doing the Slichas service, also in the 60s, and it's
your grandfather.
It's my grandfather.
Yeah.
Singing Shema Koleynu, and so I'm working on a whole piece that's based on the bootleg field recordings of old cantorial prayer leading. It's going to premiere in New York in 3 weeks from now. But this is a little taste of that, taking it out on a little run, little test run. So this is Shema Koleynu.
we're just about to end the program. I don't know how to follow that at all, but I'll try, I guess. Wow. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for giving us voice here. Thank you. If anybody's interested in this and wants to like hang and talk or do this music, come and talk. Let's talk. And yeah, okay, so these last two pieces are pieces I wrote. The first one is Vishamru, which is said on the Shabbos, and it's sort of like, it's a quote from the Torah, and it basically like talks about God's creation, and God was creating for 6 days, and on the seventh day God rested. So that's the whole kind of ethos of that. And then the second one is a Shir Malos, which is a psalm. David, and it's the song of the ascent.
Yashmieynu rina as yom b'vagaye higdil na droysn you said
Mr. Haben us.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Judith Berkson, Jeremiah Lockwood, coming from New York, coming from here, but traveling all over.
Tell them about the dreams, Zach. Tell 'em
The
about
dream. I'll tell you about the dream, and then I'll let you go elsewhere to dream together. Basically, there are very few people in the world who do what these people that you just witnessed do. And it takes an incredible amount of musical scholarship, but also heart. And to me, this is the soul of the Ashkenazi civilization. Like, this is the very, very center of it. And what Der Nister, which functions as a cultural center and as a synagogue, and just wants to include as much of the most beautiful things within it as possible. I mean, from my perspective, one of the most essential bits is Khazones, and so I'm very, very grateful that you came and brought it. One thing I'd like to say is that we're going to have high holidays there. All function as Khazon. Not you won't get this, but you'll get something. And also, I want to have a Khazones record listening session Thursday night before Yom Kippur here in this space with the record player with selections from the beginning to now. If you want to hear more and go on
I want to be there.
that musical journey with good narration, you know. But thank you all for coming. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do so. I think the page is lurking around. And enjoy the rest of the evening here.
And we have some Jewish
I hope they do something.
Yeah, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll leave you wanting a little more.
Yes.
Well, we want to make all these records. We have like a whole plan of like 5 records that we're gonna try to release next year.
Not just us,
and
but like of our whole
yeah,
group.
of like the Cantorial revivalist movement, you know, of different artists who are working in this field. And
If you feel like you're one of those people, come talk to us.
yeah. You know, thank you for your support. This is the economics of course are difficult. This records isn't really like a thriving business anymore, and yet we need these documents, right, to move the culture into the future. So thank you so much for coming here and participating and supporting us.
Great, leave it.